Hello everybody, MexZX here, back at it again to give you another very exciting video. And I know many of y'all Nintendo Switch users out there have been thinking about, questioning, and pondering this for the longest time. Where the heck is my Super Mario Odyssey 2? Now, I know it's been it's really close to being almost 6 years since we had the latest iteration within the Mario series from Super Mario Odyssey. And in that time since, we can look at, Mario's distant brother over there with the Legend of Zelda series. We managed to have Breath of the Wild come out in 2017, and both these games between Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, they both launched in 2017. And then turn around in 2023, we managed to get the sequel to Breath of the Wild being Tears of the Kingdom, but still no news on the new 3D Mario front. So in today's video, I just want to go through and give my 2 cents on why we have not seen the next iteration in the latest entry for the 3D Mario series, and why I think it might be taking a little bit longer and trying to find the methods to the madness of what Nintendo's kind of thinking and cooking over there though. But if you hadn't already done so, make sure to go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell. That way you can stay up to date on anything video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into this video. Alright, so we know Nintendo are the kings of the left field, and it's always hard to predict and start to get into their heads and figure out why they do the things that they like to do. Because for a lot of us out there, it's like a no-brainer that the Mario Odyssey managed to sell well over like 25 million copies, like well over that. And it's kind of close, but not quite close to 30. So we're between the 25 to 30 range. So you're thinking, based upon the success of Mario Odyssey, it would be like a no-brainer for them to pull something similar to like a Mario Galaxy to a Mario Galaxy 2. Because like even with those two games, there were so many ideas that they had within the Mario Galaxy game back on the Wii days. And they were thinking, you know what, there's so many things we want to do in that one. They just couldn't shove all those ideas into that. So, they naturally managed to release a sequel that allowed them to put everything else that they had out there on that chalkboard and for them to actually drop that in a sequel thing. So you would think with Mario Odyssey, given its success, and I imagine they'll probably have a lot more other ideas up in their minds, that they would have probably pulled something similar to a Mario Galaxy 2 with a Super Mario Odyssey 2. But, with it being so, almost we're to the midpoint of 2023 right now, and the fact we hadn't heard nothing on that news front right now is kind of making you think, what has happened with Super Mario Odyssey 2 though. But I think there's probably two main reasons why we probably have not gotten anything on that front. So let's go ahead and talk about this right now. So I think reason number one is, I feel like maybe with the iterations of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, maybe they spent a lot of time with the 3D World port, particularly with the Bowser's Fury side of things. Maybe they put so much time and effort up into that there's just, by the time they were done developing that game for it, maybe they just ran out of time and they were just thinking, you know what, we're just not going to be able to put out a Mario Odyssey 2 out here on the Switch. It's possible that they might be thinking that, but I don't know. Even though it's like one of the options that might be out there, me personally, I don't think that might necessarily be a thing though, because even when you look at the 3D World plus Bowser's Fury segment, just the Bowser's Fury segment up in there though, it's a tight niche experience. You can get done with it easily between like 5 to 10 hours if you're just trying to, just jump from main story beat to main story beat and just trying to do the bare minimum and complete that game though. But if you want to go out there and 100% that thing, which that's one of the few Mario games I actually managed 100% right there though, it takes you close to about 20 hours, but nothing longer than that. It's definitely a short experience Mario game. It's not like a full-blown thing like a Mario 64 or like a Super Mario Sunshine or Mario Odyssey. It's not full-blown like that. Overall, it's a very tight experience. So I don't think that might be one of the reasons why. Then you have option 2 over here, which I'm thinking this is probably the more likely reason why this might happen, is the fact that maybe they wanted to get a Super Mario Odyssey 2 out there for us, given all the success that they saw in the lead up to that launch and all the sales figures and stuff like that though. But you do have to remember, COVID was a big factor in the gaming industry, back in 2020 and as well as 2021 with that hit. and it changed pretty much the landscaping within the gaming industry as a whole, though. And remind you, Mario went through his 35th anniversary back in 2020. Remember that theme direct that we had with all those different Mario projects, expansions from the theme parks and stuff like that? We got news about the new movie and stuff, collaborations with Splatoon series at that time, and then Animal Crossing and all that extra stuff. And then obviously you had Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which that was like the biggest thing. Even though that wasn't brand new content, it was just a way to go back and play like Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy, full-blown HD. Had some upgraded stuff with Sunshine being full widescreen and stuff like that, just making it very easy to play on modern consoles though. But surprisingly, we did not get a brand new game. The only thing we technically got was Bowser's Fury, which was kind of like a half step in the way, and luckily they managed to get this out in 2021 despite all the COVID situations and stuff. And I feel like because of COVID, maybe they wanted to drop out a brand new Mario game in that block of time, coinciding with the 35th anniversary shortly within it, and have that sit up there with all their other anniversary projects. But with COVID throwing a monkey wrench out there though, maybe they have to say, we have to push this idea back. We just can't get it out there feasibly in a reasonable time. That might be one of the reasons why. And we even saw this with some other gaming anniversaries. Like we saw the Kirby anniversary one. Luckily, they managed to get their brand new game with Kirby and the Forgotten Land and stuff like that. Even with other anniversary projects, such as like the Fire Emblem 30th anniversary one, we managed to get like that, drop out like a digital version of the first Fire Emblem one that was actually localized and stuff like that. And lo and behold, a little later on in like 2023, in January of this year, we managed to get Fire Emblem Engaged. That's a game we can tell based upon how many DLC stuff that they had and how quickly they kind of shoved that out in the pipeline and stuff like that. I can definitely tell with the whole emblem rings and stuff like that, that was supposed to be a game that's supposed to celebrate the anniversary, celebrating all those different games in Fire Emblem history. That should have been closer to the 30th anniversary limited edition that they managed to drop late one year. And, that should have been coinciding with that though. But even COVID actually had an effect on that. So I'm thinking the same thing might possibly had happened with Mario Odyssey 2 though. So I'm thinking that at the point where we're at right now, and I'm just kind of going off of, reason 2 that I'm speaking off of right here, I felt like due to the events of COVID and just maybe some planning and stuff within internally at Nintendo's headquarters, maybe they just decided, instead of doing Mario Odyssey 2, let us dip our toe into the water with Bowser's Fury and figure out how we're going to do this in terms of what could be the next direction for the next big 3D Mario. Because within Bowser's Fury, mind you, that was the first game that managed to give us like an open world setting within a 3D Mario experience though. 3D World, obviously we know that's like a linear experience and whatnot though, but this one was truly open. You can literally travel from the sea and go from island to island. It was all seamlessly connected, no really loading screens in between, minus if you managed to go into a pipe or something like that. But outside of that, it was pretty open. Probably the closest thing you had to Breath of the Wild without it necessarily being at that kind of scope and scale though. So maybe they were kind of testing and putting their foot in the water with that experience. And that way they can make a bigger experience, expanding on some of those ideas like that for what will be the next 3D Mario. That's what I'm thinking that Nintendo's probably doing right now, especially considering the fact where we're at right now, when in 2023 at the midway point of this year. And the fact we don't know anything is dropping out after Pikmin 4, because we know that's going to drop out in July. And after that, the slate is pretty blank. If you look back in the Wii days with Skyward Sword is literally like one of the last big games that dropped out for the Nintendo Wii back in that era, and within a year's time, we actually got the Wii U. I think something similar is going to happen with the Switch and the next generation console. So speaking on all of that, I really do feel like at least with Mario, the next Mario, 3D Mario, we're going to get that dropping out within the first year of launch for the next Nintendo system. Because if Nintendo learned anything with the success with the Nintendo Switches, you got to have big exclusive games dropping out in that launch year to incentivize people to actually go out and buy your new hardware with your new slated games that's going to be releasing on that system though. Because you're not going to have a game like a Breath of the Wild be able to drop out in its launch year, considering the fact that Tears of the Kingdom dropped out in 2023 and what will probably be considered as the swan song for the Nintendo Switch. So outside of that, what other big IPs do you have that can actually drop out on that system? I mean, Legend of Zelda already occupied. Pokemon, that's kind of, secondary-ish in terms of, you're kind of splitting that stuff with the Pokemon Company, and they have their own release schedules and stuff like that, though. So, outside of those couple right there, the only other big one you have is Mario. So I think at that point, once their plans might have changed due to COVID or some internal stuff back around that 2020-ish time, once they dropped out 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, maybe they pivoted, and any ideas that they kind of put into that game, maybe they're taking all of it and actually putting it into the next 3D Mario experience right there. So will it necessarily be Mario Odyssey 2? My gut actually says no. Even though there could have been a lot of ideas for it though, if they're taking any kind of experience that they got from the Bowser's Fury segment, I think they're just going to go take that general concept with that world and try to keep it open like that, and then just build off of that idea and not necessarily be restrained with the stuff that you kind of did with Odyssey. It's a nice, cool feature throwing Cappy around and, taking possessions of all these other different creatures and animals and things of that nature, though. Like that T-Rex, though, man, that was really nice right there. But why constrain yourself like that when you have something even bigger in scope with Bowser's Fury? You can just take upon and expand upon that, though. So that's the reason why I believe we had not seen Super Mario Odyssey 2. It's purely due to some unfortunate changes within Nintendo's headquarters, maybe COVID playing a factor in a myriad of different reasons, but also seeing the scope and sales of what they did within Bowser's Fury is probably the reason why we had not seen a Super Mario Odyssey 2. It is a little bit unfortunate that we didn't manage to get that, considering how we did manage to get Tears of the Kingdom being the sequel to Breath of the Wild, though. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But if it's anything like Bowser's Fury and they manage to expand upon that scope, because even with Bowser's Fury, there was a little bit of like some frames kind of stuttering and stuff like that when you had like those big old kaiju fights between, I like to say, Super Saiyan Mario and over there against Fury Bowser. I was like, you kind of noticing the frame rate hindering, being a hindrance and stuff like that, given the fact that this hardware is so old, back in like what 2015ish or something like that, though. But put that stuff on some brand new hardware and have some crazy stuff going on within the physics engines of whatever engine they put this next Mario game up on. I think they can do some outstanding work on it, though. But yeah, that's basically it in terms of this video right here, though. But I'm curious to hear all your thoughts down below, why you might have not thought that we didn't get a Super Mario Odyssey 2 up until this point. Were you kind of thinking like me, how they might take the ideas from Bowser's Fury, incorporate that into the next 3D Mario, or you're kind of seeing like the business side of things, it makes more sense to kind of hold it off to the next generation Switch, because you're not going to have like a Legend of Zelda be able to launch out in that original year, though, or anything else in between, why we did not necessarily get a Mario Odyssey 2 for the Nintendo Switch as of this moment right now. Let me know down in the comment section down below. But that's going to basically do it in terms of this video right here, though. So if you really like it, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember, y'all, until what video I make next, see y'all.